Welcome back to the glorious revolutionary republic of Rome. We are actually Rome at this point, isn't that nice? I intend to play to the end date, but this is going to be a more relaxed video since we no longer need to rapidly expand to form Rome. If we do end up fighting any wars, it will likely be wars to actually enforce the revolution on countries. I kind of want to attack Bohemia and turn them into a revolutionary republic. I was very disappointed to find that I can't release vassals who then become revolutionary. Very disappointing. I was thinking of balkanizing the nation once we'd reached this point and releasing a lot of fellow peasant republics or revolutionary republics, but that's not an option. What I'd like to do is focus on integrating a lot of the land we have. As you can see, a lot of our land is still unintegrated, and what is integrated is still on full core, and a lot of it is just at the integrated status instead of the core status. I doubt we'll be able to integrate all of it before the end of the game just because there's so much to integrate. I'd also like to start focusing on the economy a little bit. I've been neglecting the economy a lot because I've been focusing on rapid militarization and expansion. I think it's about time that we give the economy a bit of a look, which of course means we're going to need to increase control. We do have access to railways now, so just mass building railways everywhere will help. You can see that our lands don't have many railways in because we haven't been building them, but the rest of Europe, it's all very railroadified, almost disgustingly so. We'll see if we can't catch up to them. We're also going to begin scattering our armies about the nation, mainly just for security purposes at this point, to help keep down the rebellions in various places. Suppose I should share my thoughts on EU5 after doing a full campaign. I'm not sure how useful or interesting it would be, but I do have some things that I think are relevant. The biggest thing to me is that I think realms are kind of too stable. Not necessarily internally, obviously they're very unstable when it comes to rebellions, but I think vassals are way too loyal in the current version. The whole giving out most of your country to a vassal thing, for example, wouldn't work in EU4 because vassals will not hesitate in EU4 to fight their overlord if they become strong enough. I definitely think vassals need to be reworked, just so that they're more rebellious and more prone to rebellion. It's rare to see vassals rebel in EU5, even in situations where they really should, because there's no reason for them not to. But honestly, that's a minor complaint. Surely they can just rebalance it to improve it. It does feel like they're kind of overcorrecting though. In the next patch, what they're going to do is make it so you can't release vassals from land that you have cored, which I think is kind of a mistake, simply because it restricts flavor. If I want to release large portions of my country as vassals, I should be allowed to. I don't really like the idea of a hard limit just saying, yep, you can't release land because we've decided you can't. As I said, it gets in the way of flavor. Like if I wanted to release all of Rome as various minor countries, I wouldn't be able to in this upcoming patch. I also think personal unions really need to be looked at. Problem is they're way too stable. Once a personal union forms, you never really see them break up because there's no way for them to break up organically. There's no way for a nation to leave a personal union, and there's no sort of friction from inside a personal union, when really there should be. In real life, I like to use the example of the Habsburg Empire, where the emperor decided it was simply too much work governing all of Spain and Austria, and so he gave one of those nations off to a relative to govern. I think something like that should be available in EU5, like giving out your personal union thrones to relatives. It would feel rather appropriate, but I definitely think there needs to be a way to dissolve personal unions for an attacker. There needs to be some sort of peace deal that separates the personal unions out. We finally researched this rights of the commoners. It's really deep in the research tree, but now we can strengthen the rights of the commoners even further. Funnily enough, strengthening the rights of the commoners makes every estate happy by 5, funnily enough. There is a max 10% RGO from curtailing the commoners though, but you know, we're going to strengthen them. Like we need RGOs at this point. The colonies we gained from Portugal have started to revolt, so I'm just going to give them all independence, let them do their own thing. There, now we don't have to deal with any pesky subjects. I've been playing a fair bit of EU4 again because I've been playing some newish mods that I've been very enjoying. And going back to EU4, one of the things that surprised me was kind of how smooth it feels to play EU4 and how clunky EU5 feels by comparison, which isn't something I really expected to say. But it does feel like EU5, it's a lot more work to do things in the sense of the buttons you have to press, through the windows you have to hop through, and I'm not sure that's really a good thing. I think it's better for you'd be able to do whatever you like in the game with minimum really work to do it, in the sense of having to press buttons. Whereas in EU4, the game only becomes rather clunky and unwieldy in the late game, when you have to start managing very large scale wars across large stretches of territory and nations. It feels like EU5 kind of starts that way. It starts off being rather clunky and it never really becomes more smooth. I suppose that maybe the problem is probably just me, because I don't automate my armies at all, because I just don't trust the AI to do it. Maybe I just need to learn to trust. I need to trust the AI to actually manage my armies themselves and just let them deal with it. But it's hard for me to like give up control. I'm not that sort of guy. I prefer to manage things myself, and I definitely feel like managing our armies is a lot more tedious than it was in EU4. If only because you have to keep balancing them. That's very annoying, right? Ooh, the revolutionary has spawned in Britain. They're definitely going to lose, though. Can we support them? Doesn't seem like there's an option for us to support them, unfortunately. They're not willing to accept an alliance because they really hate us due to our antagonism. I mean, I guess we'll hope they win. It's weird that I can't do anything to help, despite being the leader of the revolution. On the topic of research, I actually quite like the research system, just because it feels I'm constantly having to make important choices, which is something I like. I know a lot of people don't really like the research system because they prefer a system close to E4's, where you don't really think about research, you just tech up. But as I said, I like the idea of making choices when it comes to research. It makes some stuff like small bonuses feel more impactful when I know I'm choosing them from amongst other options and having to make trade-offs. I do think the research screen needs to be improved. Being able to zoom out is a great change that they did. I would like the option to hide everything I've researched, so it only shows non-researched things in the tree. Like, do I need to see all this stuff that I've already researched? I'd rather just be able to see the things I haven't researched, instead of having to scroll around through the tree trying to find things to research. I'd rather just have them presented to me. On the combat side of things, I'm really starting to think that the amount of levies you can raise should decrease with every age, similar to how navy levies decrease with each age. I'd really much prefer smaller conflicts in the later era made up mainly of regulars than having these hundreds of thousands of levies that just get slaughtered in every war. I know it's not exactly historically accurate to make it so no one can raise levies after a point, but I just don't think they add anything to the conflicts existing. I'd much rather levies just disappear almost from the battlefield and are replaced with regulars after a point. Right, our casus belli against the Bohemians is finished. France is their ally, but they're not going to join the war. This will probably be our last major war that we fight. We're just going to enforce the revolution on the Bohemians, as long as we can, of course. How much war score will it cost? It's going to cost 83% war score. It's definitely doable. Let's see how it goes. On the fort side of things, I definitely feel like something has to be changed. There's too many forts in the game. It reminds me of playing EU3 or early EU4, and it wasn't very pleasant back then. I was thinking maybe it should be one fort per province. That might be a little too much of a correction though, especially since late game just turns into these massed fort assault sessions. But honestly, if it didn't, I can't imagine how horrible it would be fighting a war if I wasn't able to assault everything like I do. It would make things truly horrible. I mean, just look at all these forts. It just makes things a nuisance more so than anything else, since I assault them and it takes 4 days to conquer them, even these max level forts. For non-max level forts, it only takes a single day. Surely there must be a better way. On a positive note, the beta for the next patch actually starts tomorrow at the time of me recording this. I think I'll hold off starting a full campaign for when the patch officially releases, but I'll probably make some one-off videos. I'll definitely need to come up with a new strategy for Byzantium, for example, since you're not going to be able to release vassals from your territory. The whole releasing vassals to avoid the disaster isn't going to be an option for Byzantium. I'll probably just make a strategy around just dealing with the disaster. Not exactly insurmountable, although I know people struggle with it. I also think that republics and theocracies probably need to be rebalanced or changed. The whole crown authority system makes sense for a monarchy, but not for any of these other nations. People should all probably have their own system that affects crown authority. Tribes should probably have a system based on the actual stats of their ruler that affects crown authority, to represent the fact that they're more of a rule by strength sort of vibe. I think the current system, it makes sense for a monarchy where the strength of your dynasty affects your crown power. But for everyone else, it definitely doesn't make any sense. Republics should probably get a benefit based on how diverse their cabinets are. Like if they ensure that no one estate is the majority power in their government, then they should probably gain a buff to their crown power or republican powers. It should probably be cool. Yes, I have been playing EU4 a little bit more lately, after not playing it for a while, just playing EU5 religiously. And I don't know, that game's just so much fun. So much fun to play EU4 in a way that's different to EU5. I know that it's arcadey, but you know, it's fun. It's fun arcadiness. And I don't know, as a gamer, my priority when I play games is normally having fun, primarily. Like, I can appreciate a simulator, but a simulator, it doesn't give me the same level of enjoyment. I mean, it gives me enjoyment in the sense of seeing stuff simulated, but seeing stuff simulated and playing a game are kind of two different things. I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I think I do enjoy EU4 more than EU5 at this point. And I'm not sure I'll ever prefer EU5 just because I enjoy a lot of EU4's more gamey mechanics, because I am, after all, playing a game. Japan is getting reworked in the next patch though, so I hope Japan ends up being pleasant to play in, which it currently isn't. We'll have to see whether the changes are enough to improve things. I don't know if I should start making videos on EU4 mods. There's so many great mods to play and talk about. I'm not sure if people are really interested though. I did make EU4 mod reviews when I first started my channel. I want to show off the mods, but maybe taking a more proactive approach and actually showing the cool nations in the mod is a better way to do things. Alrighty, our war is finished. We're going to take, as I mentioned, we're going to enforce the give power to the people on the Bohemians, which will force them to become a republic and a revolutionary one at that. So it's going to kill their queen. We're also going to take this small bit of land here that the Bohemians at some point took. Not really sure why or how, but it's nice to just get these parts of Italy back under our control. Boom. All right. So Bohemia is now the Revolutionary Republic of Bohemia. Are they going to change their flag? I guess we'll see. Let's wait a little bit. Maybe they're not going to change their flag. They're just still going to be the same old, same old. I guess so. That's kind of disappointing. I was hoping for a revolutionary Bohemian flag. Oh well. I think that might be the last major war we fight. There isn't really much reason to fight any more wars. I mean, Bohemia still hates us due to our 3000 antagonism. So the fact that they're now a revolutionary republic doesn't really change anything. Allying with them is not an option. The British revolutionaries are still alive. I don't think they're going to win though. They're only down to 20,000 men against the 100,000 of Great Britain. Oh well. I do wish I was able to intervene and actually help. But I suppose it's logical that we can't. Countries can't intervene in civil wars. But on the same point, France was an ally. For some reason, France is in the war on the side of Britain. Not really sure why or how. Oh, it's because they're in a union. That's why. It's because they're in a union. At some point, we actually became the greatest power in the world. We even surpassed the Ming. Only slightly, though. Well, actually, around 500 points. I guess we're just better than them. Are they in a civil war or something? No, actually they've got a noble rebellion, so that might be why. At this point I'm going to start automating my building and good production. We'll see how the AI deals with it. I have too much money to really think about exactly what I want to build. I'd rather the AI just did it for me. Ooh, a revolution is triggered in the Netherlands. This one should win. They definitely outnumber the forces of the Republic. On that note, the British rebellion just failed. The Revolutionary Republic of the Netherlands has taken hold. Huzzah. I was going to say we could perhaps ally with them, but they've just declared us a rival. I'm not sure how the Netherlands, small as it is considered a rival of Rome, but it is. I've also been thinking about the existence of characters in EU5, and unfortunately I think it's pretty weak characters. I was hoping they would be a little bit more like Imperator Rome, where, you know, a rebellious general can take his army and just go wander off and do his own thing. Unfortunately, characters in EU5 are more just numbers with faces. The only thing that really matters about them is their stats. And characters themselves don't really do anything other than just exist. And then, of course, eventually die. As I said, I think Imperator Rome's system was actually pretty great for representing characters, just because it felt like they had their own wants and desires and goals, and actually making them happy was important. Ooh, there's a revolutionary uprising in Burgundy. I don't think they're going to win. There's only 30,000 of them. To be fair though, there's only 30,000 Burgundians as well, so maybe they can win. I somehow doubt it though. For some reason, the Revolutionary Republic of the Netherlands decided to balkanize and release lots and lots of vassals. Don't ask me why, because I don't know, but it's happened. As discussed, their vassals are not actually revolutionary republics themselves, they're just normal republics. Now that we've had some time to actually invest in our economy, you can see it's actually exploding now. We're starting to make lots and lots of money. One of the main things we're doing is actually building lots of railways in order to connect our country up, because we have a lot of land, and a lot of the land is actually making good money. Problem is, of course, control. Because this land is so far away from our capital, connecting it to the capital is what matters here. You can actually see, because we're Rome, we've actually made it so that the proximity cost without infrastructure is currently 40, and a railway decreases proximity by 40. So essentially, we've made it so that we can achieve nearly 100% control in every location. We just need to build railways to those locations. You can see our proximity in Constantinople is pretty high, leading to a pretty high control. We just need to finish building railways in the few provinces between Constantinople and Rome to fully bring Constantinople into the fold. We also need to core Constantinople, that would also help. On an unrelated note, since we have achieved Mare Nostrum, we control nearly the entire coast of the Mediterranean, not including the Black Sea. That doesn't count for Mare Nostrum. I'd like to achieve 100% maritime presence in these locations. Since we don't have a navy, we do not have maritime presence anywhere. What I'd like to do is, let's count how many sea provinces are there in the Mediterranean. By my count, there's 29. So we're going to need 29 navies to ensure 100% maritime presence throughout the Mediterranean. So we're going to build around 290 ships, and we're going to spread them across the Mediterranean to ensure our dominance. This isn't really needed, it's more just for fun. We've begun our construction of our 290 ships. They should all be built at the same time, because I've chosen to build them in locations that have lots of shipyards. So all at once we'll see 290 ships spawn, and then we'll start scattering them around to achieve high maritime presence. Another thing I want to talk about are the situations. Most of the situations I found have actually been pretty disappointing. They either don't work correctly or they're very anticlimactic. The religious war is a good example. It triggered in our game. It was between Bohemia and the rest of the HRE, but they never actually went to war. It just ended inconclusively after hundreds of years of just sitting there looking at each other. This people's uprising is similar. There's just not really much going on. Like, there are a few revolutions around, but we can't really force revolutions. The best we can do is spread the revolutionary idea, where we just click on a country and hope that a revolution happens. But overall, the situation reminds me a bit of Crusader Kings 3 with their situations, which I can't remember the name of right now. But I didn't really like the way it worked in DK3, and I don't really like the way it works here. I prefer if situations were a lot more dynamic and could trigger based on the game world status instead of just being largely scripted, but maybe that's just me. I was hoping we might surpass the Ming when it comes to economy, but I don't think it's going to happen. Ming's currently making 700,000 ducats. We're only making a paltry 300,000. Who knows, maybe we'll catch up to them. We still have lots of land to core. Another revolutionary revolt has revolted against Britain. I assume I'm supposed to be able to assist them through this assist foreign revolutionaries option, but it seems they're not eligible. Maybe this is only for assisting actual revolutionary nations when they're at war, not rebels, but at the same time, the revolutionary Bohemia is at war with Hungary and I can't support them either. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand the purpose of the assist foreign revolutionaries option. On a separate note though, our current ruler, or our consul, he's really rocking those glasses. He looks like he looks like one of those Vietnamese American generals, and we're not in Vietnam, not yet at least. Let's take stock of our current country. We're making a lot of money. As established, we're actually close to surpassing the Ming. The Ming had gone up due to 700,000 ducats income due to, I guess, using a parliamentary option to increase taxes. So I think there is potential for us to surpass them, especially if we finish coring up all the land we need to core. We've managed to achieve the much sought after 100% maximum literacy rate across our country for all of our pops. Glorious. Let's check, what's our current literacy rate in our country? 89%, that's pretty good. We might even get close to 100% by the end of the game, but we probably won't get a full 100%, mainly due to conversions of religion and of culture, dropping people back down to 0, which is of course an annoyance, but it is what it is. It's a very petty complaint. When I'm in the integration map mode, my name, Revolutionary Roman Republic, spreads really nice across the water. But when I'm in the normal map mode, It's more like this, centered on the land. I do wish that Paradox would give you the option of picking a province that centers your name from. For example, we would pick Rome and then the name would be centered on Rome itself. It's a very petty and minor complaint though, but it is important. On a similar note, I feel like something has to be done with these small cultures. One annoying thing is, the locations that have very small minorities in, we cannot accept those minorities because they're so small, and therefore we can't call the provinces and locations they're in because we can't accept these people that are the majority in these locations but a very small minority in our nation. A solution would be to make it so that you can accept very small cultures if they're fully within your nation. Because if we look at them, it says, you know, we can't accept them because they're less than 1% of the population and there's less than 1 million of them. I think it'll be fine to say, you know, this entire culture is within your territory, so you should be able to accept them, right? Because I mean, they're all here. All of them in the world are currently located within your country. Like, take these Cumans. They're all here in our nation, but we can't accept them because they're too small. Which really, it should be the other way around, right? Really small cultures should be very easy to accept. On an unrelated note, we have now become the economic hegemony. I'd like to say it's due to my hard work, but nah, it's because China's fallen into another revolutionary war. They just keep happening. This one seems to be a lot more in favor of the Ming though. To be fair, we have caught up to them in quite a bit on our economy. We're on 40,000 ducats income from tax and trade. There's a good chance once they reunify they'll surpass us though and go back up to 50,000. There we go, we've reached the end of the game. Let's take a last look at the game before we let ourselves tick over and see the end screen. As you can see, we haven't managed to core everything, but we've done pretty well. We've managed to full core all of our African and Middle Eastern holdings. We're just cleaning up the last bit of coring to be done in the Balkans, Spain, France. Honestly, we're really close. There's not that much left to core. On the cultural side of things, we've also done pretty well. Of our 150 million people, nearly 39 million of them are Roman. Roman culture is spreading quite quickly and aggressively throughout our lands now that we've full cored a lot of it. Keeping in mind that we are not actively converting. If I was actively converting, we'd be able to convert even faster. On the religious side of things, Lollard has taken its rightful place as the majority religion in our nation at 37% and 85 million Lollards scattered around our territory, but mainly centered in Rome, obviously, Italy. But we've also seen quite a bit of spread into Iberia and France now, as well as the Balkans. Africa is still a big supporter of the Lollard movement. Our literacy rate has managed to reach 94%. I like to imagine Lollard priests waiting outside people's houses and try to intercept them and ask them, you have read a book today, haven't you? And probably throwing books through people's windows, trying to urge them to read. They take reading very seriously. We also established our maritime network and our maritime presence network. Look how beautiful and blue it is. Oh, it's so nice to see, isn't it? Nearly every province in the sea is at 100% or close to 100% maritime presence. Mare Nostrum has surely been reborn. Let's take a little look at our control map mode. It's pretty green, pretty blue as well. The main places where you can see control is lower are in the places we still haven't cored, because not being a core gives -10 to control, and being cored gives plus 20, making it quite easy to push locations to reach 100% control once they're full cored. Definitely nice. See, look how blue Egypt is. Just these few little locations here that aren't fully cored, mainly due to proximity. But proximity is as high as it can really go. It's at 99.18%, and as you can see, it's all of the locations between these provinces and Rome are only decreasing proximity by 0.01. So really, we've done as well as we can do. What's the most valuable province in our nation? Well, it's obviously Rome, with a base tax of 682 ducats. This could be done a lot higher if I'd been investing just in Rome the city. The old People's Mine is also doing pretty good, making a 629 ducats. People there are still loving it. 99.85% satisfaction in this province, in this location. Outside of that, all the big earners are of course silver and gold locations. Genoa, of course, quite valuable, producing 555 ducats. Venice has kind of fallen away, producing only 221, mainly because it's a fish-producing province or location. Genoa's doing quite well at 382. Constantinople definitely letting the sign down with only 200 and also ducats being produced there. Keep in mind, of course, it's not a full core yet. It's still a conquered location, and that's bringing down the amount of money we would make because it's reducing the control. On the flip side, Bursa across the sea from Constantinople is earning a lot more at 360 ducats. Overall, a pretty good game. We've managed to achieve our goals of forming Rome. We didn't really do much after a point because I was just sitting around building buildings because of how fun it was to do so. There's 4 revolutionary nations in the game: us, Bohemia, who we forced to convert, Sweden, who managed to convert on their own, and the Netherlands, or what's left of it. The Netherlands released a load of these nations as its vassals. They then declared independence, and a lot of them fell to revolutionary revolts, it looks like, for some reason. So there's like, I don't know, a horde of revolutionary republics here? I don't know why, don't ask me, I don't know. We didn't manage to see any revolutionary republics appear elsewhere in the world though, mainly a European thing. In the colonies, most of the colonies have managed to achieve independence. I think there's a few still serving the Spanish, or what's left of them. Our old colony of Elysium is currently being full occupied. What a pity. They managed to survive for quite a while, trapped between the Grand Bulgarian Orthodox Republic of Majorca and the Catholic Polish Republic of Ipixwit. We'll just pretend that wasn't a thing. Is there anything left to mention? I don't think so. Yeah, I think let's unpause the game and let ourselves tick over and see what the end score is. There we go. Our glorious nation has achieved being considered a great power of the world. Congratulations, the Roman people are among the most prosperous and prestigious of this age, and our rule has been the most outstanding success. We only got a score of around 15,000 though, which puts us just above William of Orange and just below this guy, who I'm not even going to try to pronounce, the last Mughal emperor. Is it really fair for our score to be that low? Well, the thing about score is, it ticks up based on your rank every month. And we spent a long time not being a great power because we couldn't get enough prestige to level up to be a kingdom and then an empire. But either way, it's done. Let's switch over to the observer map mode and have a look at the world. Whoa, look at that Timurid. I guess the Timur did actually expand quite a bit, but north for some reason. And as I suspected, the Sengoku Jidai is still ongoing. It was started in the 1400s. It's been ongoing for 400 years, and no one has won. Hopefully, they really improve how Japan works in this upcoming update, because it's not. Whoa! Wait a minute. Yuan is still alive. The Yuan Empire is still alive. For some reason, they're called the North Yuan Empire, even though they're located in southern or western China, and Korea is still a tributary of them. Actually, they're not a tributary, they're a straight up vassal. Wow. What are they thinking? We can also see the mighty and prestigious noble kingdom over here, ruling over the land. This must have been a revolter who spawned and somehow gained independence and just became the noble kingdom. Noble kingdom playthrough when? India's pretty split between the various empires. We've got a pretty big Punjabi empire though. Are they Sikh? No, they're not, unfortunately. Is Sikhism even in the game? Keep forgetting to check. Yes, Sikhism is in the game. Are there any Sikhs? There's 100,000 Sikhs in the world, but it doesn't like there's any Sikh nations. Let me just check. Nah, I'm not seeing anybody. There are no countries that follow the Sikh faith. That's sad. But either way, this was the People's Glorious Republic of Rome. It is finally finished, or completed. Kind of sad to see it go, but it is what it is. I'm continuing to brainstorm for future playthroughs. I'll probably post what I have so far of my list onto as a post on this video. Feel free to comment, let me know which ideas sound cool to you, or propose your own ideas. I'd love to hear them and absorb them and maybe steal them as my own. But as I said, the video is over. Thank you for watching, and surely I'll see you next time.